This is the book where that information came from, and it's thick. So when he describes the various spheres, he goes into a lot of detail. And of course, we don't have time today to talk about all of those details. But I think what Jean has shared is a good start. It's a good foundation about the idea that progression in the spheres is a vast part of our existence. Our existence here on Earth is tiny, it's minuscule, and compared to our existence in the spirit world. Now, we set the tone through our desires and our actions, our service, our love, and all the dark things that we land up doing as well. We set a tone for where we're going to land up when we do pass over into spirit. And obviously, all of you here are interested in that subject. Otherwise, I don't think you would be a part of a spiritualist church. So this passing into, hopefully and often, into the sphere of light, which is Summerland, is a great gift to everybody. It's such a relief. You're not dealing with the material things in life anymore. You're dealing with yourself, your authentic self. Because when you're in spirit, that veneer, whatever it is that we have learned to carry with us in order to navigate the world, disappears. And so our true condition is revealed. Our thoughts are even known in the higher spheres. And we can't play a game anymore. We have to really reconcile with ourselves who we are and what issues we have to deal with. Now, if we can get ahead of the game, like many of you do here in this world, then such a benefit to ourselves to flush out the negativity, flush out the error, flush out any darkness within us. And since we grow up in this earth plane, which often our guides call a dark place, we're going to accumulate some stuff, some bad stuff. And so it is important to look within yourself and be honest with yourself in terms of your own condition, your own mental patterns and thoughts, your own judgments, your own lack of love, especially your own lack of love for yourself. For those of us who are feeling that way about ourselves or about other people. Love is the currency in spirit. Love is what brings us into higher planes. So when you enter into the second sphere, you've learned to some degree how to love. You know, you're in this lovely environment of Summerland, and you begin to loosen up. You know, there's more joy because the stressors of the material life are gone, and the intrigue of the spirit life begins to reveal itself. And so we come to understand, to a degree, our gifts, our spiritual gifts, the gifts of our soul, the gifts of our beautiful psychic qualities and abilities. These are things that many of you long for here. You know, you take courses and you want to understand what these gifts are, how to see, how to feel, how to connect with spirits, all of these things. Well, when you're in spirit, you're obviously connecting with spirit. And the feelings are much wider, much bigger, much more expansive. And the experiences that we have with one another, you notice when the people came here, many of them who knew one another embraced and joyfully greeted one another. That is very, very much like the spirit world, where love is shown freely and effusively. And so in the second sphere, people learn how to do this. There's more progression. It's a nice place like Summerland, except it's even better. It's even more beautiful. It's more beautiful because spirits learn how to be creative with their spiritual abilities. They can manifest things. I'm a gardener. I would love to go and manifest a garden just by thought, because doing it on the earth plane is hard, bloody work. Now, to think you could do it with your thoughts and your imagination and learn how to make it real in the land of spirit, what a wonderful thing. So people discover these things. They discover what they're interested in, what they can do, what their gifts are. And they get a lot of joy out of it. And also, they are still connected to and involved with their families and loved ones on earth. It's very important, especially all through these lower spheres, as we call them. There's a lot of interconnection between spirits and mortals because we love them, or we have a connection, or we are concerned about the world, or we want to help. So spirits come to us to try and influence and bring their love and thoughts to us, and they can do that because within us is the receptivity, the ability to pick up on these things. You may think you've had the thought. You may think that that inspiration came from you, but often it comes from spirit. So these spirits in the second sphere are learning all about this and how to influence life here, and also how to reinforce a better life there. And as they perfect these things, then they land up in the third sphere. The third sphere is more glorious than the second or the first. It just keeps progressing. You see, spirits are progressing through these spheres, through these conditions. And they're also releasing the impediments to it. And so as they're able to release those impediments, as they're able to be more knowledgeable about spirit life, as they're more loving and of more light, then these doors open towards progression to the next sphere of life. So it is step by step, step by step. And within these spheres are many layers, many subspheres that are a reflection of the desires and the predilections of these spirits. You can't expect someone who grew up in India to come into a sphere that is like North America. But there are various subspheres that reflect these cultures, these ideas, and even these religions. So it's a very complex place. You know, there are many, even though there are actually 7 spheres and then a celestial heaven, within those spheres are many subspheres. So there's hundreds of these spheres. And people are drawn by the law of attraction to whatever sphere suits them. When they die, they're going to go to a sphere that is a reflection of their condition, who they are, their light, and what the inhibitions are. We talked about some of our friends who have passed over who were part of this church. Our dear friend Lorna passed into the third, which is kind of exceptional because she was a loving person. She was generous. She prayed for divine love to enter her soul. She was very connected with the Creator. And she did a lot for a lot of people. So all of that combined brought her to the third sphere. So she bypassed Summerland, she bypassed the second sphere, and she went into the third. And that's quite possible. You know, as you work on your own spirituality, your own true selves, as I call it, then the challenges and the tests that come in these lower spheres, as they call the earth spheres or the material spheres, can be bypassed. And I would highly recommend that you do it because, excuse me, Because who wants more challenges? Why don't we go for the good stuff? There's a lot of joy in the third sphere. There's a lot to experience. There's wonderful institutions of learning.
Music.
There's music. There's art, creativity. Any of you who are somewhat artistic, this is paradise. And those who land up in a sphere like the third think they've reached heaven. But in fact, they haven't. It's only the beginning. So, in the third sphere, there's a lot of learning. There's a lot of letting go of earthly attachments, even people. It's not that they don't love their loved ones. It's just that they don't feel so motivated to be involved. And they're more involved with what's happening in that sphere and with the people they're meeting and the new relationships that they're making. And it's full. You're not just sitting around on a cloud wondering, what do we do next? So let's play a harp. No, they're not doing that. They're engaged in many things, many projects, many avenues of discovery and developing their own self and releasing anything that is an impediment within them that doesn't bring them happiness or doesn't bring them the capacity to love in a full way. So third is a wonderful sphere, and I often think if I can get to the third after I pass over, that'd be great.
I'll come and visit.
That's good. I will probably be lonely. So when all of these things are in maturity, and the third sphere is often a sphere of prayer and connection with the divine. Now, if any of us have heard Jean and I speak before at this church, we talk about divine love. And this is a sphere that encourages and fosters divine love, which is the gift that God gives to us, an essence from the soul of God that we can ask for in prayer and receive it into our souls. And it's transformative, it's healing. It opens us and expands our souls and opens up many gifts that otherwise would not be opened up without this, what I call this rocket fuel for the soul. So in the third sphere, this is well understood, and many people are involved in praying for this gift and receiving it. There are many groups. Jean and I do prayer groups where people pray for this. Well, there are many, many groups up there. They're doing that and joining us, I think, in prayer. So that's why I want to go to the third, because that would be the most comfortable place for me. Now, the fourth is a different kettle of fish altogether. It's a place where learning, intellectual learning, scientific research, oratory, and developing one's skills intellectually is more of a focus. And so people that are more interested in perfecting themselves, their minds, and their capacities as an individual are very drawn to the fourth. And so they're very happy when they get there. They have to, of course, go through these levels of progression before they get there. But once they get there, they think they're in heaven. And there, again, more institutions of learning, beautiful gardens. Everyone has their own beautiful ideal of a home. And you don't have to pay for it. It's just given to you. Everything is free. You don't... it's free in terms of material free, but you got to earn it in terms of your own spiritual progression. So it's a lovely sphere, but many of us who are more into the soul rather than the mind don't find it all that attractive. We had a dear friend Barbara Davies, who was my mentor, passed over a few years back. She went to the fifth. Now that's highly unusual. You gotta,
Mother Teresa.
yeah, you gotta be like a living saint to get that far. But she was a living saint, as far as I was concerned. She helped so many people in so many ways, and that could be a whole talk in itself. But she went down to the fourth because she was curious, and she said, yeah, it wasn't for me, I didn't like it. Because they're all so intellectual, they're kind of snooty, they're all like professors, they're all going on about what they know and how they know and where they're, all of these things that are about ego. Although ego there would be different from what we would consider ego. But there are those of us who are more interested in our own natural abilities and capacities of growth, excuse me, and demonstration of our gifts, that this is a sphere that will help you greatly to develop these things. And people, I think, are continually patting each other on the back. Great job, great job. Third sphere, people say, I love you, I love you. So it's a different focus. Now the fifth is like the third, except even better. Now they say that they cannot describe the beauty of the fifth sphere, that it's beyond imagining. That the harmony there and the peace there and all the souls that are there are, they're all attracted. The law of attraction ensures that birds of a feather flock together. So again, there are still these subsets of layers of the fifth sphere, like there are in all the rest of them. So, but each soul is drawn to what is in harmony with them, what their desires are, what their inclinations are. And so they meet others that are similar. And so that brings joy. They're meeting friends, people that are, boy, you're like me, or I enjoy who you are. Those sorts of things. There's a lot of joy, and a lot of creativity. And as I say, a lot of beauty. And a lot of prayer, like in the third. There's a lot of prayerful activity, talking about one's relationship with God and experiences with the Creator. And of course, those experiences are intense, they're magnificent, they're expansive, they're full of joy and love and peace. And again, that's where I'm going. I'm going there, one way or another. The sixth is nirvana. It's the nirvana that the Buddha talked about. It's the halls of perfection, that all impediments, all conditions that we have as humans are gone. We're perfect. Everything that we were born with has now reached its pinnacle of expression. But it's not like it just ends or there's nothing left to do. There's more and more expression of those perfect gifts and those capacities, both intellectually and spiritually. All of these things come together within the individual where they feel complete. They feel complete. And so they are with others who are complete. They are with others who are happy to reinforce and support and be in that light, that beautiful, beautiful light that is the sixth sphere. And they have, in a lot of ways, let go of all their attachments to the earth plane because they have no need to correct others or be in there in terms of service. Although they do come on occasions, they often speak in the lower planes of spirit, and sometimes they come and help those on the earth plane. The law of attraction would determine that. The thing is, I don't really want to go there. Because there's another plane after that. It's the seventh. The seventh sphere is the sphere of the gateway to heaven. This is the celestial heavens I'm talking about. What I just talked about is the spirit heaven, the sixth sphere. The celestial heavens are the spheres of the soul, not the mind. The sixth sphere is the sphere of the mind and the perfection of mental qualities and capacities, and they are far, far beyond anything we could imagine or manifest ourselves. Even the brightest intellectual person on earth wouldn't hold a candle to someone in the sixth sphere. The seventh is more prayer. It's the place where all vestiges of the mind and any conditions that are not in harmony with love are released. It's the last position one takes as a human. Because when one goes into the celestial spheres, you're no longer human. You're still you. You're still a person. But those human qualities that we are feeling and knowing and experiencing here on the earth plane so very, very powerfully and easily are transformed. Because when you receive enough divine love, the essence of God, you are transformed within your soul. It becomes a different thing. It becomes more of the divine. And in that transformation, then all the things that are of the mind, the attitudes and perspectives of the mind and the material are absorbed into the soul. And then the soul is able then to enter into the celestial heavens. And that is not just one place. It is an infinite number of spheres that will carry on for eternity. That's what we are told. Now the sixth has its limits. All the other ones have their limits. The seventh even has its limit. But the celestial spheres are unlimited. And so that's where I want to go. Because I felt the love that I've talked about, that divine love. I felt what it has done for me. I felt the power of it in my own soul. I know I don't have a whole bunch, but I have enough to know it's there, and I can feel it expanding within me, and I can feel what it's doing for me. So, of course, because of that experience, because I've been praying for this love for 50 years, I understand why I dedicated my life to it. Now, in the latter part of my life, I'm 71 now, I realize that I made the choice for me that's right. And I would encourage all of you to consider that there are two choices here. There's one that leads to the perfect man, the perfect individual. There's one that leads to the transformed soul. They're two different things. That doesn't mean you lose those things of the perfect individual when you become a transformed soul. But when you are the perfect individual, that path, your soul is not developed in the same way. It's not transformed and changed. So that's why I want this higher, what I consider this higher love and this higher path. Because the pathway into heaven has many rewards and is full of love. And that's what I want. And it's beautiful. And I'll leave it at that, because we could do a whole thing on heaven, but we're not going to today.
This afternoon will be heavenly for those who come back.
Can I just ask one question, Al?
Yes.
Right here. There we go. I just want to ask. So if we're developing and we're progressing, let's say, I guess unaware that, okay, this is like the natural path. I'm in the second sphere. If I'm in the second sphere, do I pass into the third, pass into the fourth, pass into the fifth, or is it all by depending what I'm choosing in the way of developing?
No, you don't skip.
You don't
So
skip.
You go right through. But you may pass quickly if you're in the natural progression stuff.
Yeah.
Then you want to go to the fourth, because that's where it's happening. The third seems boring. They're all sitting around praying for God's sakes. That's kind of boring for them, but yeah.
Okay, thank
So
you.
you keep going through. Thank you.